Welcome to TLC for the Soul podcast, where soul meets spirit. You have entered into sacred space. I'm your host, TAMI Chambers, and I'm here to help you shine. Now let's get going on this podcast journey.
Let's do this. Hello, let's do this. Hello, friends. Hello. It is a beautiful Sunday morning. I've decided to go on a little adventure walk and bring in the bringers of the light and see what happens. It is very windy. You can hear these wind chimes. I've got the little microphone thing on, so hopefully you don't hear too much wind. But I do like all of my stuff to almost sound like we're outdoors all the time, even though we can't always be. So I did channel in a few new chapters of the Whales of Azure Falls, which we will touch on here shortly. But there's so many friends that want to come through. So the purpose of these little things is these little episodes, kind of multiple fold. So if you're new here, settle in and see if you like what we have to offer. And if you're a returning friend, thank you. Thank you for joining me yet again on this soul adventure. I'm inviting in the guides who overlight this show to step in as I wrap us all in love light and light love. Archangel Michael, Archangel Metatron, the Pleiadians for fun and adventure. Now, when we read channeled stories, which we're going to do, we're going to put in a couple of chapters here, very short ones. This is typically the energy that's surrounding us in this now. So regardless of when you listen to it, there'll be messages and metaphors for you as part of the story. So everything may not, resonate. Some stuff might. And as I'm walking, of course, as always, they're going to have me picking up trash and going on a little adventure. I brought a trash bag, and they're already giving me another one. The first thing I found was a trash bag. They're already giving me one. It's very prickly where I'm at. So for you, as you're listening, you're getting like the sound of the outdoors, but things that I'm saying or things that could be coming up or things, energy themes that come through are also messages for you. So you decide how you want to interact with this show. Do you just want to take it at face value and just listen to me wander around in nature and read a channeled story, or do you want to interact more fully? Allow your guides to step in and ping you with energy messages for what's going on right now. So usually what I found is if I'm going to do service work in a particular area, it's kind of multiple fold. So if I want to sit outside somewhere and do a podcast or something, the nature elementals of that area are usually like, can you help us clean up a little bit? So the energy kind of has to match what we're delivering, so to speak. So if the place is all trashed out and everything, it doesn't really match the energy of what we're delivering. So they usually just show me areas that need some freshening. And obviously I can't get to everything. Like there's brambles and crap. So I just have to kind of make peace with the stuff that I can't reach. Wow. There's a lot of light beings showing up, higher selves of teachers and guides surrounding us. There's a train going by, if you're wondering what that is. It's kind of far, but the wind is carrying everything from that direction towards me. And I already had a fun little adventure with the little windsock on my microphone. It's like a little white ball. You guys, if you've watched me on video, you've seen it. And the wind pulled it off, and it was like blowing like a white, like follow the bouncy ball. And so I was almost like, I almost was like, I'm just going to let it go. And then I thought, wait, I need it for my show. So I started running a little bit faster. And I finally did catch it and put it back on. It doesn't secure on very well. So my little trash bag is almost full. This is just apparently not a very far walk from where I live. My trash bag's almost full, which means I can kind of sit down for a minute. But I also want to look around and see what's about. So my Sunday morning walks too are kind of like our coffee, I call it coffee talk. Like if you were here with me, we'd kind of hang out and just chat about stuff. Or maybe we would play an energy game. So I swear I want to have a service like this. So I am doing client sessions again. So while I was going through the biggest part of this ascension upgrade since January 22nd, we're now in friggin' March, Source pulled back all my clients. So I didn't have any clients coming through for that period of time, but it's fine because I couldn't have done, I was so exhausted, I probably wouldn't have been that good of a conduit at that point. I was feeling so sick. So I think this is the last one I have to get. So clients are starting to come through again. So God is my source, or source is my source. God is my source is my source. So when clients start coming through again, that means the channels have opened back up again. The universe and my higher self are saying, I'm ready to move forward. All right, this is all the trash. Let me throw this away. And so if you're interested in booking with me, then all the services are on my website. But I wish I could add one. Oh my goodness, let me share with you just this one interaction that, and she may be listening, Soul Sister and I had one time, and it was just the most fun. And I wish we could have like a client session like this somehow. I just don't know how it would work. But it was like, we said something to the effect of, do you want to trade readings? And it was like, no. Source was like, do something different. And so we were texting each other, we're messaging each other, and it was just like this interactive thing where I told her, we're gonna be whatever I'm kind of saying on my text is what you're gonna see in your reality, and what you're gonna say back to me is things that I'm gonna see. And it ended up being a reading of sorts in a way anyway, but it was so much fun. I should just call it child's play. The only thing is, it would have to be like an interactive, and I don't know how that would necessarily work with people. I really want it. That was like the most fun I have ever had in a session. Well, I always have fun in all my sessions, but that was really fun. I would love to try and do something like that with people. Because right now all the sessions are audio, so I don't really interact with you face to face, which works for me just because it's just stressful for me to try and schedule a bunch of face-to-faces, and schedules change and people don't show, or I have to sit in front of the camera. So I typically don't do that. I could if Spirit asked me to, but right now I do everything audio session, which is more fun for you too, because you get to listen to your session as much as you want, and you don't have to necessarily be there in person. And then I think you have a better experience because you can just plug in and do your session wherever you want and listen to it however many times you want. Oh God, I just stepped in a bunch of mud. All right, they said last one, but then they brought me to more trash. Okay. So that would be such a fun, something like Child's Play. Golly. All right. Let me just look around. It's very cloudy today. It's very windy. I will say the last time we did like a Sunday morning session and we read from Whales of Azure Falls, it had talked about like south winds coming in was like this really big thing that stood out in the story. And we did have that week that we read that story, we had south winds, kind of like what we're having right now. These winds are very strong. So I'm going to take a seat for a minute. Do I want to sit down? Yeah. I don't like to read and walk at the same time. So, what's going on here? Inklings of spring in my area, but I know we have listeners all over the place. And if you are a Spotify friend, then Spotify has opened up video podcasts, and I'm an early adopter of that. So whenever we do pick-a-cards and stuff now, if you're on Spotify, you will get to hear, maybe I should sit with my back to the wind. You will get to hear and see those videos. Because I don't always record everything as a video. You know, I only do certain ones as videos. But I think that's really fun. And the podcast is kind of showing up all over the place now. So I'm getting pinged from all these podcast providers, like, claim your podcast. Which I haven't really done yet in too many places. We are all over the place, though. All right, let's see what's going on this morning. I still hear Freddie Mercury. He just keeps singing that song. I know he really wants to come through. You can come through if you want. If you have messages to share with people that are on this watching or listening to this. You can't watch it because it's not a video, but I'm really out there today. Yes. He says I'm really out there today. So I watched Kalina yesterday, Malinar, every now and then. I'll watch her all the time, but I just watched her March update. And she was like, I'm always high vibe and I'm always floating in the clouds and I don't like to ground myself very often. And I was kind of like, at first I was like, am I like that? And then I thought, no, I do like to be like that. I like to just be like feelers out, whatever source wants to say or whatever my higher self wants to say. Not what any spirit wants to just ping in and say, which actually, I guess they're leading me to our story today. So not what any spirit wants to say. So maybe this is a message that you need to hear. Feelers are not always out for any old spirit to just come in and say stuff to me. So I think we're coming back to boundaries again. So those of you that are listening here, yes, you have spiritual gifts. Yes, you may be a channel. Not everyone's gifts are the same, right? You may be a channel, you may be a medium, you may be a clairvoyant, you may, have your spiritual gifts may be different, but they all kind of come from source and they all open you up to the energetic world in one way or another. But that doesn't mean that you're like constantly a conduit for every single spirit or every single spirit or being that wants to connect with you, because that's just, number one, too confusing and somewhat exhausting on your energy system too, because you're kind of just then connecting with everything. And we talked about this in, when did we talk about this? The last episode, I think, for March. One of our March episodes, we talked about this. because we were talking about divine neutrality. I'm going to try and move. I don't know how awful this wind is sounding. I'm trying to move a little bit away from it. We talked about divine neutrality. And I have to go back and say, if you didn't listen to that one, you should go back and hear and listen to it and research it a little bit further, like what it means for you. Like Sandra Walter, I gave her as an example. She has a really good teaching on YouTube about divine neutrality. And I'm continuing to do that experiment of it. Here's the challenge. I'll just share with you, and then we'll read the story. The challenge is when you're an empath, or when your psychic gifts are open and on, turned on, tapped in, tuned in, turned on, whatever Abraham says, then you do. It is like you walk into a room and you're kind of pinging everybody. Let's just give the room as an example. You walk into a room and you're kind of pinging everybody there. Like, you're not mentally like, ping this person, ping that person. It's kind of like built into you in a sense, where you have over time just, the soul has learned like what's safe for me. Oh yes, a lot of chills. What chills, if you're new, or my confirmation when I'm saying getting a lot of chills, it's just spirit saying yes, that's right, or keep going, or that's kind of something that needs to be emphasized. But you're pinging, your soul has learned over time what keeps you safe. And so you're mentally pinging, mentally is not the right word, your energy field, your aura, or however you want to put it, is pinging the other energy in the room and kind of getting an instant callback, like safe, not safe, safe, not safe. Or if your heart is not fully open, then everything could come back as not safe. And they're having me give this story again. So maybe some of you didn't hear this and need to hear it, or you need to hear it twice as a confirmation, like, yeah, this is for you. But I gave an example in my last video. I think it is like trust issues with just being burned in the past by different situations and different people's energy and stuff going on. But I would go to the park with my dog, and anything that came into my field, anybody, I was like, girl, why are you here? And over the course of a few weeks, I was like, this just doesn't feel good. I don't like kind of being grumpy about this or irritated by the fact that someone else is around. And so slowly over time, I developed Source work with me, and we developed like a thing like, okay, trust and verify. Like, don't be so quick to like pounce on everybody. So it wasn't like sending bad energy, but I was just irritated. Like, oh, there's a person. Oh, this, that. Oh, why are you here? Why are you bothering me? Why is your energy here? And boundaries is something that on this journey, my spiritual path, I've really had to learn a lot about. So as an empath, you're probably still working on this, which is why you're getting this message. But so Source was like, okay, can you do something that's more like trust and verify? Which would be, we're going to trust someone's energy field until they give us reason not to. Like, yes, everybody is going to have distortions in their field. Everybody. Everybody comes with a shadow, right? And like I said, last time we talked, like even people who do energy work on themselves all the time still have a shadow, still have polarity. But we're learning how to, with self-mastery, work with that polarity and not dial into it so much. And we've healed so much stuff now that the polarity is, minuscule. And like one of my teachers, Master Ko, always says, big fish eat smaller fish. So if your field is mainly filled with higher vibrational thought forms and so forth, then anytime a shadow energy comes up, either within you or around you, all of the positive thought forms and positive energetics and harmonics in your field just gobble up that little small lower vibrational thing, thought form. And so Source was like, or my higher self, like, you don't need to be like grumbly about this. Like, everybody is not some sort of energetic threat. So do the trust and verify exercise. So trust all, and if they come into your field with some sort of a threatening energy, then of course you have to verify. You have to use your, what is it called? You know what I mean. The other thing, discernment. You have to use your discernment about, how you interact or what you would do in that at that point. So that really helped a lot. And then the whole divine neutrality really helped a lot. Take it even a step further, because here's what happens with divine neutrality. It's like a higher form. I talked about this before too. It's like a higher form of non-judgment, and it allows things when you're not attaching to anything in a polarized way, like this is positive, this is negative. When you're just being an observer of the energy of things, regardless of what it is, then you don't send out a cord, or you don't send out an energy attachment to anything really. And so if your field within yourself is really, really clear, then you have less and less need to clear your energy. So it's like a huge bonus, because then there's almost nothing weighing you down at that point, except the thought forms and stuff you create, because you're the soul, you're the creator of your own reality. So with this experiment, this is maybe like a week or so in, and I think I shared before, I was clearing my energy twice a day, once in the morning, once at night. There was always something to clear. I muscle test. I just do my muscle test. You may dowse, or I don't know how you do it, but I do each field separately. The mental body, the emotional body, the aura, the physical body. And usually in the physical body is where you can get all your hits on stuff you need to maybe upgrade or work with, such as physical stuff, almost like medical intuitive. And so you may be guided to work more with your physical body and do some energy healing there. But the result of this experiment now with the neutrality is that I've been having to really clear my energy once a day, but now it seems almost like it's going to move to almost every other day, because yesterday morning there was nothing to clear. Last night was there anything? No, last night was nothing, but it doesn't mean that there's still not work that has to be done. So chakras might still need balancing. There could be things in the chakras that still need to be cleared. Cords might still need to be cut or worked with. And so there's other types of energy that might still need to be done. But the clearing of lower vibrational thought forms and energies is drastically decreasing, which makes for a very Zen-like, peaceful, high vibe way of being. So if you're interested in more about that, or how that pertains to you, check in with me, let me know. I have all types of sessions on my website, and since I've been given the green light, I can start working with clients again. Wow, this wind. Okay, I've probably been babbling on for quite a while, because when I get to Sunday morning, I just kind of like to chat with you guys. And through kind of just listening to me, or being in my energetic field, knowing that I've had another big upgrade, it's pretty high vibe now, then the highest vibrational energy always helps raise the vibration of everything else around it. And so if you're feeling down or whatever, even if you don't, buy into the neutrality or resonate with whatever that is, just being in the energy field will like raise your vibe. And you guys help raise my vibe. So if there's high vibe people listening to this, which I know you guys are, then we kind of just raise each other up, which is fun too. So let me settle into a location that I want to pull out my phone and read our story and kind of play with some of the metaphors that are there for things that might be coming up for you, because I am starting to get client sessions now where people are like, SOS, I need help. So there's a lot of shifts and changes going on right now. There's a lot of things kind of, I don't want to say attacking. Hold on, I'm going to wait for these sirens to go by, which is why we're talking about SOS. That's so funny. There's a lot of things going on right now in the 3D. So if you're plugging into that at all, you're going to feel it. And they're you know, everybody's talking about the Ukraine. So if you feel guided to help any situation, regardless of what it is, whether it's the Ukraine or anything else that speaks to your heart, you can kind of get yourself into a little bit of energetic trouble there. So this is another thing that's coming up. We need to talk about it, because when you feel like you need to have kind of an emergency session to help you kind of validate what's going on, there's a couple of things you can look at while you're waiting for help from someone, be it myself or somebody else that you might schedule with, because everybody might not be able to see you right away. Some healers are booked out months in advance. I'm not quite there yet, and luckily I have enough bandwidth. Hold on again. My goodness, that one sounds even higher. Holy smokes, what kind of siren is that? Wow. That was overbearing. Okay, 2 thoughts, and then I'll stop. That was crazy. Things you're plugging into that could be draining you. Man, there's a lot of sirens. All right, let's go. Okay, so they're showing me 2 things at the same time. So which way do you want me to go? Okay, keep going, and then I'll try to share the other one. This is crazy. So, whatever cause you might be plugging into from the external that you're kind of speaks to your heart, they're just saying just be careful with that, how much you devote your time to it, number one, and how much energy you're willing to feed it. There may be cords that need to be cut. These are things you can do yourself. So if you've been watching a lot of news or social media about what's going on in the 3D world, one that kind of was to my detriment was Standing Rock. Way back when in the U.S. we had a thing called Standing Rock, and man, they're giving me chills. I got way too involved in Standing Rock to where I was like crying over what was happening and plugging into it every day and all up in the cause, and I want to go to Standing Rock and I want to help, and getting upset with what was happening to the people there. And that was a big lesson for me, that whenever stuff like this comes up, no matter what it is, like I can't constantly watch and read and hear about it and plug into it. And so your best advice there, they're saying, is to turn that cause into your service work. So more than money, which if you feel guided to use your tithing or whatever, or your tithing is kind of an old-fashioned word, but kind of your gratitude, your what do we want to call it? Like your karma rebalance? I don't know. Karma rebalance. So good karma brings good karma. Giving good karma out. Good out brings good in. So you may do that with your finances, right? So you may feel guided to send money to your charitable cause that you're plugging into. Or for me, the best way is to do energy work with that situation or that area. So you might find a group that supports that cause, and I'm talking about like an energy work group. You might start your own, oh yeah, chills. You might start your own Reiki board, so like a grid or whatever for that. You might do a daily meditation and send that area or that cause healing light or healing energy. And then you don't have to sit and do it like 30 hours. I hope you're not doing 30 hours. You have to sit and do it for an extra long periods of time. When you open your crown and bring down divine energy, whether it's gold light from source or Reiki energy or whatever, like, time is irrelevant in the upper worlds. And so there's no need to spend extremely long amounts of time. Do a meditation, bring in light or Reiki or whatever for 10 minutes a day, and that's all you need to do. If you partner up with other souls and start a circle or whatever, or you have your own existing circle and you make this part of your circle, then that energy is just intensified. And I have I think the energy of the people there sometimes makes a huge difference. The clarity of their energy and their harmonics. So I typically am a solo practitioner, but my son wanted to do a meditation with me the other day, and we were doing service work and blessing the world and all that. And when we combined our energy in that meditation, I just felt like he's a very clear channel, and I just felt like a huge surge of power to where that meditation just felt like it was exponentially stronger. So think about that. So that's a message for thinking about who's in your inner circle. And maybe you need to evaluate the vibes of the souls that are around you and adjust that and bring in some more high vibe people who are more in line with you. This is a message for those of you feeling a little drained right now, that you are probably spending too much time focused on a particular cause, and you need to pull your energy back because you're putting your energy in. You're like getting emotionally attached, anxious, possibly nervous about what's going on, however you empathically attach to something. And you need to pull your energy back and only attach to those things when you're in sacred space and when you are there to do service work. And believe me, that's going to help more than you worrying about the situation, because that is, when you affirm that something's for the highest and best good of all, then in this case, if you're doing service work and you're blessing a place or a cause or a situation, then by the law of karma and the law of reciprocity, you're going to get blessings back. If you're just sending out worry thought forms or fear thought forms or whatever the forms are, nobody benefits in that situation, least of all you, because you're draining yourself and you're taking on the energy of this thing. So you're attaching to it. So you can try those things too. Cutting cords to the situation, pulling your energy back, and turning that cause into your service work. The other thing they showed me, this is really insane. My son and I watched Ghostbusters Afterlife last night. I thought it was really cute. I like those movies where like the old guys from the old movie come in. Same thing in Star Wars when Chewbacca and Han Solo showed back up after a long time. I was like clapping in the theater. So this one, the old guys like Bill Murray and Dan Aykroyd and I never remember everybody's character names, but when they all showed up at the end, I was just like, yay, they're back. So nostalgia stuff's coming up too. So I think a lot of you are feeling this SOS, like I need to book in with people because stuff's coming up to be cleared, especially before the equinox. And like I said, I haven't run any specials this month because I was expecting Spirit I've got a lot going on. I was expecting Spirit to say, nope, you're down again for the month of March. But clients started booking in, and so I've got stuff on my website, services on my site in all price ranges, because I understand what it feels like to maybe not, have the resources, but you really need an energy healing. And if that's the case, like you feel like you don't have the resources to even book, then I would say, start working on your prosperity. And that's a whole other, we could probably do more than one show on that. Maybe we need to work on that for the month of March, prosperity healing, and put a what do I want to say? Like a little workshop together for that or something. All right, let's read this Bringers of the Light story. This thing is reading out on, I'm going to have to check. I'm looking for this. I'm looking for the Whales of Azure Falls. So we have not been consistent in our Sunday stories. And you may not listen to every single episode, so these kind of stand alone, but the overall premise of this is Bringers of the Light story. You are a bringer of the light, a light warrior, light worker, light being, whatever you want to call yourself, 144,000. And these stories are for us, and they are a series of books also, so we read them on the podcast. They become books. All of my ebooks right now, what's out there is free to read. And the links for all this stuff I'm talking about in these shows are in the show notes of each show. But in this one, Whales of Azure Falls, just backgrounds. We're not going to go back through all the chapters, but Abigail and Dakar are our main Bringers of the Light. They're divine counterparts. They work on behalf of Bringers of the Light. They have a boss who gives them a service work assignments. High Core is their boss. Abigail Smile is a witch who has a coven in her hometown, Rockaway Point. We work with some of the friends there, Polly Willikers and her familiar Scratchy, and others, Tamber, who doesn't have a familiar anymore because her familiar became her divine counterpart. You got to go back and check that one out. But Abigail and Dakar decided to go on a vacation. It was springtime in Rockaway Point. Dakar wanted to get away because they've kind of been indoors all winter, and he wanted to take her to Azure Falls, which is quite a drive. They have to drive to another town, catch a ferry, go to this place, which we have yet to encounter yet, and check out what's going on there in their vacation. And along the way, as they're driving, oh, there's a cute little bird. They had some lower energy in the form of a little entity, like a dark entity, who really is kind of like a laughable dark entity, kind of like Slimer, maybe that's what, kind of like a Slimer in Ghostbusters. Attached itself to their car, and so this dark energy has been following them around, which is how you might be feeling. So we always pull the metaphors out of this story because these are all channeled stories from source through me as the conduit, bringing in these things. But they've had this Owie, his name is Owie Bowie, and they had him attached to their car, and he's been playing little tricks and doing stuff, messing around with the engine, playing around, and they've kind of figured out a little bit what's going on, but they've just decided to, my word, the wind. The wind is a huge component in this story. So these winds are coming from the southeast. Oh my God, you've got to be kidding me. Okay, you guys are going to laugh. That is crazy. Okay, the winds are coming from the southeast. I think it's going to rain. Hold on here. Southeast winds are winds of new beginnings in the east, right? And passion and creativity and moving forward, and fire coming from the south. I'm going to tell you what just happened right now. So I picked up all that trash in the bag and I threw it. There's a dumpster kind of around here. So right now, when that big wind just blew, all my trash bag flew out of the dumpster off into the sky somewhere. All the trash flew back out on the ground. So I know when I pulled cards this morning, Spirit was like, fun is required right now. But I'm like, well, you asked me to pick all that up, and now I'm looking at it all over the place. All right. Let me see if I've got a better out of the wind location over here. I'm going to go under these trees. I don't know what that, so that must be like do-overs. So maybe you're getting a chance to do like do-overs this week, or usually when we read these stories, the energy's kind of alive around us for about a week. I always say like the week forward. All right, and behind this tree. So let's try this. So Abigail and Dakar keep going. And the next chapter we're reading is called East Meets West, which I find interesting. So that's kind of like air and west is water energy. So they had to fix their car because Owie Bowie messed with the engine and all that. And so they're back on the road again. So East Meets West is the car back on the road. It was time to check the weather report. This wasn't any old weather report. It was a straight-in checkpoint for the bringers of the light. And HQ had a very intricate system in place to check the energetics of any area that was deemed necessary. Dakar beamed in and asked the energy leader of the grid system for a report on the energy surrounding him and Abigail at the moment, as well as the town and port and Santa Marlena. The light beings put their energy feelers out and came back with a download for Dakar. Dark but possibly pliable energy around you right now, the energy reporter downloaded. And the location destination is feeling light and bright at this time, possibly due to the arrival of whales. The light being ended the transmission. Whales, Dakar pinged back. And the light being repinged, whales. Dakar looked at Abigail, and it must have been with surprise because she laughed and squeezed his hand. What is that? What is it? She asked. Whales have arrived in Santa Marlena, but I don't know how, he said with surprise, and even more get up and go so he could go see this phenomenon. Why is it a surprise? Abigail wondered out loud. Because Azure Falls is just that, he said, running his hand through his hair. It's a waterfall oasis. How and when could whales get up there? He trailed off, sending an energy ping out to Azure Falls. What he got back made him laugh with joy. Oh, you won't believe it, even if I told you, he said, laughing so hard that he almost had to pull the car over. It's a surprise, he said again, and I'm not going to tell you. You'll just have to see for yourself. So surprises are starting to manifest, friends. And because they are surprises, you're not going to see them coming. You're not going to see them coming. Chapter 6, Pulling Back. Abigail wondered as the miles sped by how things were back at home. Crust, which is her business, she's a bakery. She's like, she owns a bakery. She's never there. Crust seemed to be magically running itself, and with the help of her friends, she was able to keep it profitable and fun. She mentally pinged Polly Willikers to see what was happening around town. She had a strange feeling in her solar plexus like butterflies flitting about. And that usually only happened when something big was happening in her world, but she couldn't see it yet. There we go again. Polly responded to let her know things were just fine, and that she and Scratchy would be going out of town for a few weeks themselves. They had an old friend to visit, and it was time. Polly didn't elaborate on the friend, and Abigail didn't ask. Some things are better left to the imagination, Abigail thought, as Polly signed off the conversation. Once she was mentally back in the car, Abigail felt a strange pulling sensation, like someone was trying to get her attention. She quieted her mind and allowed herself to reach out towards the energy. I'm in trouble, were the resounding words she heard, but nothing more. Well, she couldn't help every being who needed assistance now, could she? Or maybe she could help in some small way, as she sent a prayer up to the heavens, asking for divine intervention for all lost souls. It's just what we talked about, you guys, with turning your charitable causes and stuff that you're getting too attached to into service work. I love how the stories kind of corroborate the energy guidance that's coming through. Abigail hoped that was enough, and she settled her mind back in the car and on Dakar. But before she could say another word, the car bumped and jumped and jumbled, and then hobbled to the side of the road. Flat, Dakar said as he turned off the car and got out. He didn't see the tail of Owie Bowie with his little pitchfork in hand as he backed away from the car and ran into the woods. Dakar bent to look at the tire and could see the wound straight away. 3 little punctures deep enough to cause the damage, he thought, as his higher self said, pitchfork, down into his mind. So again, we have these lower energies possibly around, but that doesn't mean you have to interact with them. It just means little things could be coming up to try and pull you off course or pull you out of your divine neutrality, because if you've set divine neutrality as an experiment, then you're going to get tested, and you can see it as a test from whoever you want. Because sometimes I'm like, is it really a test from like dark forces, or is it just source testing me to see that I'm doing what I said I was going to do? See, I'm getting away from this polarity thing. So is it really quote unquote dark evil, like testing my willpower? Like, because like the law of attraction says, I'm putting out light, and I'm putting out high vibes. I wouldn't be getting low vibes back, because that's against the law of attraction. So I choose to see these now as I've set an intention. Let's just go back to the divine neutrality. I've set an intention to work on divine neutrality for myself. So now Source is going to test me. Source, in the form of whoever, angels, guides, owie bowies, whatever, is going to test me to see how that's going. Do I need more work there? If I need more work, so a test comes, I don't quote unquote pass the test, I'm going to get tested again until I pass, until I don't let this thing, get to me anymore, or clear the energy, or whatever it is. So you could be getting tested this week to see how you're doing with whatever your intentions are. Is there more work to be done? Did you successfully pass the test? And in this case, I can see Dakar, like he didn't, I don't know if he's mad or not, but his higher self told him something's going on. So that is all we have for this show. I don't know why I'm laughing. Probably because I'm outside and I'm getting to record with you guys. It seems like forever since we've done one of these. So I am going to let y'all go. You know how to reach me if you need to get a hold of me for a session or anything like that. All that stuff is in my emails and my show notes. My website's on there. A lot of free resources for you guys in the form of ebooks and all of these shows that you can go back to in the podcast if you need to. Use the podcast as a divination tool, so to speak. So if you have got something going on and you are concerned, you need some confirmations or answers, there's almost 300 videos on YouTube. There's about the same on the podcast, depending on when you're listening to it. If you join my Instagram, there's almost 1,500 posts. I don't know. And you can scroll through any of those. Just flip your finger, like go to the homepage of the podcast, or go to the pod, flip, scroll, pick a number. Number 5. Scroll 5 times, put your finger down. That's the one you need to listen to. If you're on Instagram, the same thing. Scroll, put your finger down. That's the post you need. That's the message you need, because everything on Instagram is pretty much channeled messages. And in the meantime, I will see you all soon. Thank you so much for listening. Take care. We'd like to thank our sponsor today, Crust Bakery, Rockaway Point's premier bake shop for your magical treats. This Halloween, add something special to your Halloween table and your Samhain spread with a magical bake from Abigail Smile. Let crust beguile. Thank you so much for joining our show today.